In the heart of the city, on one of its most prestigious avenues, Sterling Automotive stood like a temple behind glass walls, showcasing the pinnacle of the hypercar world. The atmosphere inside was insulated from the hustle of the outside world, silence defined by the occasional echo of footsteps on polished floors and the subtle scent of expensive leather. This wasn't just a place where cars were sold. It was a fortress of status and privilege, accessible only by private appointment. The door opened with a nearly inaudible whisper, and Alexandra Alex stepped inside. The clothes she wore whispered quality rather than shouting brands. Well-cut linen trousers of a natural fiber, a simple silk blouse, and stylish yet understated handmade leather boots. Her naturally wavy hair fell loosely onto her shoulders, and her makeup was minimal, reflecting a woman confident in her substance over mere show. No one could guess she was an internationally acclaimed artist and innovative designer, with her own successful studio and brand, who had quietly amassed her own fortune through her work. And of course, very few knew she was also the life partner of one of the world's most beloved actors, Keanu Reeves. Alex's gaze immediately locked onto the Pagani Huayra Roadster BC, displayed like a sculpture on a central platform, its matte graphite finish absorbing the light. For her, it wasn't just a vehicle. It was kinetic art. The aerodynamic lines, the mastery of carbon fiber construction, the marvel of its engineering. Alex approached it not with the mere desire of ownership, but with an artist's admiration for creation. She was a serious buyer, considering adding this unique piece to her collection. Just then, Julian Thorne, the dealership's young and ambitious sales manager, materialized. His Italian suit was flawless, his watch and cufflinks worth a small fortune. He considered himself an expert at scanning clients. He believed he could instantly tell the buyers from the lookers. When he saw Alex, his internal "not a buyer" alarm blared. What could this casually dressed, artsy, bohemian-looking woman possibly want here? He approached, plastering on his professional smile, though his eyes remained cold. "Welcome to Sterling Automotive," he said, his voice smooth as silk but sharp underneath. "How may I assist you? Perhaps you'd like a tour of the other collection pieces in our gallery?" The emphasis on other implied the Pagani was beyond her reach. Alex, ignoring the implication, gestured toward the Pagani. "Thank you, but I'm specifically interested in this Huayra," she stated, her voice calm and clear. "I'd like to get detailed information regarding delivery timelines and customization options." Julian's smile froze slightly. This woman's persistence surprised him. "Madam," he said, his tone becoming slightly instructive, "this Roadster BC model, as you might know, was produced in extremely limited numbers, and all current allocations are spoken for. The vehicle you see is an exhibition piece, brought in for one of our very special collectors. It is not for sale." This was a blatant lie. The car was new inventory, awaiting the right buyer. Alex followed the automotive world closely and knew this wasn't accurate. "Are you certain, Mr. Thorne? I understand a few new allocations were made recently. Perhaps we could discuss a potential special order? I have a few questions regarding the engineering details, specifically about the engine's cooling system." Alex's technical knowledge only irritated Julian further. Not only did this woman look inappropriate, but now she was questioning his expertise. Just then, a man dressed in flashy designer labels, sporting an expensive watch and an air of, perhaps slightly brash, confidence entered, having just stepped out of a brightly colored sports car. Julian's eyes lit up. This was the right customer profile. "Excuse me for a moment," he said to Alex, almost turning his back on her completely. "A very important client has just arrived. Please feel free to wait. My young colleague Liam can give you a brochure." He then hurried towards the newcomer. "Mr. Kozlov, welcome. Are you ready to see the new Veyron prototype we discussed?" Alex took a deep breath, observing the blatant disregard. Liam Patel, the younger sales assistant, approached her, looking embarrassed and uncomfortable. "I'm very sorry about that, ma'am," he whispered. "Mr. Thorne can be busy sometimes. Can I perhaps offer you some information on the Pagani?" Alex appreciated Liam's kindness. "Thank you, Liam. That's very thoughtful. But I believe I need to speak directly with Mr. Thorne, she replied politely. Alex waited patiently while Julian attended to Mr. Kozlov, guiding him towards another vehicle. She walked around the Pagani again, examining its lines. When Julian finally finished with the other client, he saw Alex still waiting by the hypercar. His patience snapped. He strode over quickly. Madam, I thought I made myself clear. I cannot assist you further. Alex remained resolute. Mr. Thorne, I am serious about purchasing this vehicle. Please initiate the process. Julian dropped all pretense of politeness. He let out a derisive laugh. Purchase it? Madam, I don't think you understand what you're saying. With what funds? Look, this isn't a toy store. This car costs more than most people's houses. People like you come in here all the time, dreaming, taking pictures. It disrupts our workflow. Now, for the last time, I must ask you to leave the gallery. If you don't, I will be forced to call security and have you escorted out. His voice was deliberately loud, drawing the attention of Mr. Kozlov and the few staff members present. Alex's face was expressionless, but a storm brewed in her eyes. Such blatant humiliation, such coarse prejudice. She tried to remain calm. I understand, Mr. Thorne, she said, her voice chillingly quiet. Your policy is abundantly clear. Without another word, head held high, she turned and walked toward the gallery's massive glass doors. As she stepped outside into the bright afternoon, the noise of the city felt like a slap after the hushed tension inside. She got into her car, sat for a few moments just staring ahead, hands gripping the wheel. Then she took out her phone, her hands steady now with resolve, not anger. She called Keanu Reeves. Keanu, you won't believe what just happened, she began, calmly recounting the incident. It's not about the car, Keanu, she concluded. It's the mindset. The fact that someone can still be treated like that simply because of how they look. We have to address this, but in the right way. Keanu listened intently on the other end. You're absolutely right, Alex. His voice came back, calm but firm. That's unacceptable ignorance. Don't worry. Tomorrow we'll provide them with an update on their understanding. The next afternoon, Alex walked back into Sterling Automotive. She was dressed slightly differently, perhaps in sharp trousers and a well-cut jacket, still understated, but projecting quiet confidence. She asked directly for Julian Thorne. Julian was surprised to see her, a smirk forming on his face. You again? Did you perhaps make an appointment this time? He asked sarcastically. Alex met his gaze evenly. No, Mr. Thorne, I came to complete our conversation from yesterday. I told you I was serious about the Pagani Huayra. I am prepared to initiate the purchase process and provide any necessary financial verification. Would audited financial reports from my company or a summary of my personal investment portfolio suffice? Julian was about to retort when the gallery door opened again. Keanu Reeves walked in, dressed simply in jeans, a t-shirt, and a leather jacket, motorcycle helmet under his arm. He removed his sunglasses, scanned the room briefly, and walked directly over to Alex. Julian froze mid-sneer. His jaw dropped. Color drained from his face. The few other people in the gallery started whispering and pointing discreetly. Keanu put his arm casually around Alex's shoulder. He looked at Julian. Everything okay here? He asked, his voice quiet but carrying weight. Then, indicating Alex, my partner, Alex, mentioned she was interested in this remarkable vehicle yesterday. Keanu continued, his gaze sharp. But I understand the reception wasn't exactly welcoming. Julian stammered. Mr. Reeves, welcome. What an honor. I didn't know. That is, Miss Alex didn't mention. Keanu cut him off gently but firmly. Didn't know what, Mr. Thorne? That she could afford it? Or did you simply assume she couldn't because she wasn't dripping in designer labels? The owner, Arthur Sterling, alerted by the commotion or Keanu's arrival, hurried out of his office. Mr. Reeves, Ms. Alex, what an unexpected pleasure. Welcome. Is there a problem? Keanu calmly explained the situation. Mr. Sterling, your sales manager here judged my partner solely on her appearance yesterday. Alex is an accomplished artist and collector with a deep appreciation for this car's design. She came here as a serious buyer, but was treated with disrespect and essentially asked to leave. Sterling looked horrified. Unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. Mr. Thorne, on behalf of Sterling Automotive, I offer my sincerest apologies. Alex spoke up, her voice steady. Mr. Sterling, we appreciate the apology, but the issue runs deeper than one employee's behavior. It's about a mindset that judges value based on superficial appearances. That needs to change, Keanu continued. Therefore, we won't be purchasing this car from you. However, we hope this unfortunate experience can become a learning opportunity. Sterling looked desperate. Anything, Mr. Reeves, anything. Alex made the proposal. Mr. Thorne, she said, turning to the now pale and trembling manager, perhaps needs to see value beyond price tags. I support a community arts center for underprivileged youth in the city. They do incredible work with limited resources, nurturing raw talent. I'd like Mr. Thorne to volunteer there for a significant period, perhaps assisting the instructors, helping the kids prepare for an exhibition. Maybe seeing creativity flourish in a different environment will broaden his perspective. Julian looked aghast. Keanu added, and Mr. Sterling, it would be wise for your entire team to undergo professional training focused on unconscious bias, inclusive customer service, and respectful communication. We can even recommend some excellent consultants. Sterling immediately agreed. Consider it done, Mr. Reeves. Absolutely. During this exchange, Alex caught Liam's eye and gave him a small, appreciative nod. Liam, thank you for your earlier kindness, she said quietly. Liam blushed but looked relieved. Without further ceremony, Keanu and Alex turned and left the gallery, leaving behind a stunned owner and a devastated sales manager. They hadn't bought the hypercar, but they had initiated something potentially more valuable, a push for change. 2 months later, the atmosphere at Sterling Automotive felt different. Staff seemed more attentive, more genuinely welcoming to everyone who walked in, regardless of attire. They had completed the first phase of intensive bias and sensitivity training. Liam Patel had received a promotion and was thriving, and Julian Thorne, he was spending his Saturdays at the vibrant, sometimes chaotic, community arts center Alex supported. It had been deeply uncomfortable at first. He felt out of place, awkward, but then he was assigned to help a quiet, fiercely talented teenage girl who created intricate sculptures out of discarded metal and found objects. Julian initially couldn't see the value in her work. It wasn't polished, it wasn't expensive. But as the girl passionately explained her process, her vision, the stories behind her seemingly random materials, Julian started to see. He saw her skill, her resilience, her unique perspective. He witnessed raw talent that had nothing to do with wealth or background. It was a slow, humbling process, chipping away at his ingrained prejudices. One evening at a different gallery opening across town, Alex and Keanu bumped into Julian. He wasn't working. He was there with a young sculptor from the Arts Center, whose work was being featured in a small emerging artists showcase. Julian looked different, less polished perhaps, but more genuine. He approached them hesitantly. Ms. Alex, Mr. Reeves, he said respectfully, I wanted to thank you. The volunteering, it's been, he struggled for words. Eye-opening. He gestured to the young artist beside him. This is Maria. Her work is incredible. Alex smiled warmly. It truly is, Julian. We're glad you see it too. Keanu nodded in acknowledgement. The interaction was brief, but the change in Julian was evident. Later, driving home, perhaps in a different, equally impressive car acquired elsewhere, Alex reflected. Maybe it worked, she mused. Keanu smiled. Sometimes people just need a different lens to see clearly, Alex. You gave him one. They knew the lesson wasn't just for Julian, but a reminder for everyone, themselves included, about the ease of making snap judgments and the importance of looking deeper. True value, like true art, often lay hidden beneath an unassuming surface. Who knows, maybe you've been an Alex or encountered a Julian. Our experiences shape us. Would you share the lessons from your own experiences in the comments? These stories gain strength as they are shared. Like it so more people see it. Share it, let it inspire, and subscribe because we have many more stories to tell.